everyone, welcome to my little tutorial, art lessons, art advice little area on my channel. This will be lesson 2, which is how to take the shapes that I asked you to practice from the last lesson. You know, that's the last video, you can find that on my channel easy. And how to kind of apply them, and this is a very basic way to apply them. It can work on paper, whatever. I'm going to show, I'm just going to draw over this image right here, because you can do this, and I suggest you do this as well, along with eyeballing the image. And what I mean by eyeballing is, you have your picture like this, and you have a blank piece of paper or another canvas open, as long as you can kind of look back and forth. That was something outside. Back and forth. Wrong image. And try to draw it, break it down from the shapes, or build it up from shapes that you see. And, alternatively, or with it, you can go in over the image and draw over it and see the shapes that you see in it. Both are good exercises, and I would, again, like I said, I was just doing both, because I think it'll help in the long run. So let's get started with that. So here's two images next to each other. I just picked an image I had on my computer. This obviously is a really easy one because this is literally a cylinder. It's literally a cylinder that the reason why it looks maybe complex or hard for you to draw is because it's glass and there's a bunch going on, like shading, lighting, reflections. We're not here for that. We're not here for that. We don't care about that. Let's just go ahead and break this down. And hold on, I forgot to do this. This will be beneficial. Give me back my brush. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of dim the picture. You can do this also if you print an image out and draw over it with like a marker. So it's not only a thing you can do on your computer. Just letting you know. So we're going to take it, and so this is a cylinder, which is obviously really easy to do. Draw the circle first, which is primarily what you want to do, but I'm not drawing it from scratch, so we're on a blank piece of paper. This is just me sitting here breaking down the images as I see them. So this is a cylinder, and because of perspective, it's like it's a lot wider than the top. Another thing to take into account is perspective. So as we see, this cylinder is going to be a lot more wider down here than it is up here. And you can tell that it's got perspective because as you see, it's got this curve as opposed to up here where it's got this kind of like shallow curve as opposed to this deeper curve down here. So that's how another little hint that there's perspective at play. Now its friend over here is a lot more complex in the fact that it's not just a cylinder, but that's not a bad thing, that's a great thing. And there's several shapes you could break this down into, or a couple, whichever. That's for you to eventually discover on your own, and that's a fun process. So what I see here is I see that there is a bit of this going on. I know that there's going to be a cylinder of some sort here, again up here, and again here. But I also see, it's not like it's not a straight line. It's tapers in the middle, and I want to see where it starts to taper. I say it tapers around right here where this starts going. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna minimize the correcting it. I'm going to try and keep it straight lines for this purpose. I can go in later and then curve them. And I see here's another point where it starts to curve. So I just go add more straight lines. And it'll come up here. Now that we've got that, we've got the body, and then you've got this. But this isn't a cylinder, but you could easily do it that way. I see an oval. I see an oval. Maybe I should have used a different pen. You can rotate. If you can rotate an image, you can. If not, it's fine. It doesn't take away the ability to draw. It's the easier thing to do. For me. You might not have a problem with it. I like to turn. So there's like an oval here. And I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. Sorry, I thought I heard something. And this, you got this up here, which I think is another wonderful little oval. Wow, I am having some issues right now. It's probably because I've got a headache. It's a little harder to draw for me when I've got like some type of physical discomfort. I know other people aren't quite the same. There's some people who can draw like no matter what, and I find that amazing. Here you can kind of, I would just do a square. And then connect it to the egg. Eggs and ovals. Eggs and ovals. Egg equals oval. So as we see here, we've got a body. So if I were to take the image away here, look at that. You can start with easier objects and kind of build up that confidence too. Also, I'd like to point out that anytime you practice a drawing, you don't have to show anybody. You can keep it for yourself and let it be your own personal little lesson practice, because not everyone needs to see what your practice stuff is. You're too embarrassed to show your failures. That's fine. Go ahead. You don't have to show anybody. In fact, you might be better off for it because you can sit there and focus more on the actual application as opposed to how bad or good something will make you look to other people. Me personally, I'm a person who I enjoy the efforts that people put in. Like if I see something, it may not be the same level as mine, or that person may not be at the level they want to be, but I can see that the effort, and I enjoy seeing the effort. I love seeing the journey. But you don't have to share it with anybody. Just so you know, if it helps, you don't have to share it with anybody. And here we have this, which I think might be a fun little addition, little last tidbit, where you get to the point where instead of doing the more rigorous, more stiff drawings, you'll be able to look at this and go, oh, well, it's kind of curved. You know, it's curved. So I'm going to I see that it comes up to here, and I know it's going to be a cylinder, but I'm going to warp the cylinder. And then here's going to be another cylinder, and it's only warped really on one side, but then I can do that. And this is going to be another one. I see that it does that, and then I can connect it. And then if I take away, oh, here's these. I'm just going to put little circles. And then little squares. And then I see it comes out in another square. And so then if I take away the image, look at that. Oh, there's like a little, there's a handle on this. I didn't see the handle. I would just put a triangle. I have no idea what this thing looks like without that little paper towel on it. Anyway, paper towel is just towel. But see, even this was just a triangle. Not a square. I guess technically a square, but it's a rectangle. And another rectangle and a circle. And it looks like something. Looks like the handle. It's a 2-second handle. Another triangle. Anyway, point is, you see is that I was able to break this down into very basic shapes, and it makes an image. It looks, that's what you're seeing. But it's hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself, trying to talk and think at the same time. It doesn't look too impressive, but it does look like the object. But you have to realize that the reason this looks really good, or doesn't quite look the same as there, I would then take this into the next step, and I would shade it. I would see where the shade, you know, the darkest lines are, if I'm not just doing line art. And I would then start working on giving it depth. And see, it already starts to actually look like something. So if your initial image doesn't look, or you know, you're sitting there and you're looking at it going, oh well, it kind of looks like this shape, but it doesn't look like that necessarily 100%, it's because, you know, that's when you would take it to the next step, which is shading. But to get to the shading part, you have to do this. You have to do the shapes. You have to break it down. You have to get to this part so that when you get to this part, you can start shading. See, like, it starts to take on a life of its own. It starts to look like the object, see? But again, you have to get to those shapes, you have to do those shapes, and you have to lay them down first, and then you get to flesh something out. You get to go in and erase those lines. You get to make it look nice. So whatever you do, don't give up, and I'm going to go ahead and end this here because I think it gets my point across pretty well. Keep practicing, and if you want help, like if you're having issues with this, and maybe you're a little on the shy side, you can contact me at... Let me grab my pen here. You can contact me at... Oh. There we go. You can contact me at Yenova on Tumblr. So, you know, tumblr.com, clean your work.